What's up guys and welcome back to another episode of CNC. This is episode number 32 and we're starting today's stuff. We're looking at fixtures for January as the transfer window is now here. We've got Fulham away at Craven Cottage in the FA Cup third round, Preston at Deepdale, the Bees, Brentford at home, and then Nottingham Forest at the City Ground as well. So four really difficult fixtures there, three in the Championship and of course that FA Cup third round trip to Craven Cottage as well. And as I show you the squad here as we have now into January, as I alluded to a moment ago there, the transfer window is now open. We've course sold two of our players, Joe Woodward and also Webb, our goalkeeper as well. Now, again, we are a 3.5-star team now. We've developed really, really well. I'd say over the course of like the past 12 to 18 months, we've undergone some great progression. And of course, because of the transfer budget as well, we've got around 1.5 mil in the budget, but because the wage budget is so generous, we've got 72 grand a week to offer someone, and I have been talking about it in this January window. I don't think I'll sign anyone on a permanent transfer because with 1.5 mil, maybe with one or two sales, we could raise it to around 2, maybe 2.25. But I don't want to sell any of my star players to get a lot more money than that. And if we were to get around again 2.25 mil in total, we sold some reserve players, we can't really sign anyone decent, if you know what I mean. They'll just be squad players at best. And now, I don't think that's the right philosophy. However, 72 grand a week on the wage budget does mean we could possibly loan in one or two top-tier young Welsh talents, the likes of Nico Williams and Ethan Padu and Dylan Levitt and so on and so forth. We had Levitt, of course, on loan last season. So I think that's probably going to be our philosophy in January. I would spend no pennies whatsoever, just save it and let it all roll over to next season, or maybe bring in one decent young talent on loan. And in the first game of today's episode, first of three, was the FA Cup third round trip to West London. And of course, as we know, Fulham earlier on in the season at Rodney Parade thrashed us by, do I have to say the scoreline again? Yeah, 7-0. Absolutely humiliated. In the reverse fixture at Craven Cottage last month, we only lost 1-0. So improvement, if not a point, in that game there in the league. 7-0 to 1-0. We tightened up defensively, we would say. But 20 minutes into this game, we were already 2-0 down. Fulham taking the lead early in a game where silly penalty, which they converted to make it 2. And at the end of the day, I said before, sometimes you just have to be quite realistic, and sometimes you need to know when you're coming up against a side that is just far better than you. Obviously, last season we saw that with Bristol City, who won the league by a ridiculous amount of points and just dominated from start to finish. We just couldn't match up with the Robins last season, and it wasn't really a surprise that in both the games played against them, we lost. Fulham are that sort of team this year. Like, Fulham are like this year's Bristol City, if you know what I mean. I just cannot match up with them, and their players are just far higher quality than ours. Zambo assists Ivan Caballero here, 54 minutes in as the hosts go 3-0 up, and at the end of the day, I wasn't too disappointed because we're a massive, massive underdog. And, you know, the one thing I definitely want to talk about in today's episode is the difficulty of Ultimate and how much more challenging it is. And how much I'm really enjoying it as well. Because, you know, sometimes I can get frustrated. This was going to be back-to-back losses on the back of our home defeat to Luton Town. I had a whole host of chances in the game. A good one here for Cam Campbell, but fired over the bar. You know, sometimes I need to remind myself, in games like this where I'm just getting absolutely battered as Harry Wilson smacks the crossbar, but Fulham get it straight back through Stansfield, holds off Dylan Rees, back to Zambo and Guisa, and it's another absolute peach of a long shot there into the top corner. You know, sometimes I need to remind myself, in games like this where I'm getting battered and I'm like, this is ridiculous, this is too hard, how can I do this, I just can't win. It's like, mate, this is Ultimate. Ultimate is so difficult, but it's supposed to be. It's Ultimate, that's the point. It's the hardest difficulty in the game. Of course it's supposed to be hard, and that's the one thing I think I need to remind myself, and also remind others as well. Look, don't get me wrong, of course, if you play the game enough, and I definitely play the game enough, of course, you know, you are going to get good enough to battle on this difficulty, and you will get good enough to beat it at times. There's no doubt about it. But I have been struggling a lot more in this year's FIFA CM, and I'm preferring it as well, because, you know, last year, Ultimate was introduced, I think it was the year before last, but last year, there were times where I was finding it not all too easy, but there were moments where I was able to, again, not necessarily dominate, but really feel as though I was firm favourites to win the vast majority of my games, you know, despite who the opponents were. Whereas, of course, we know in this year's FIFA, it's a little bit different. Am I still winning games? Yeah, absolutely. We've had back-to-back promotions. Am I still beating some big teams on occasion? Well, if you watch my Brentford career mode right now, yeah, we're doing that. Having said that, in a lot of the games, I've got to grind out results. And even in games when I do win by a couple or 3 clear goals, for example, it's still not as easy and as often as it used to be in previous FIFAs. I have to give props to EA this year because I think they've understood that Ultimate is the hardest difficulty in the game. It's supposed to be a challenge, and it definitely is this year. Anyway, following that, Preston North End away at Deepdale. Worrying signs early. Was not happy to see this. Cooper goes up for an aerial duel, comes off second best. Such an awkward landing as well. The one thing I will say about EA though, I just praised them. Now I'm going to sneak diss them. They've got to sort the injury animations out, man. Seriously, Cooper goes down there and he seems to be in a lot of pain with his elbow, his shoulder area. But then on the animation on the floor, he's clutching his knee. It's like, make your mind up, bro. Where's the pain? Do you know what I mean? It's one thing that's always been a problem with FIFA. You know, you'll see a player like clutching his leg and clutching his knee and, you know, rolling around in pain. And then you'll see the injury details pre-game and he's bruised his shoulder. And it's like, you know, like, seriously. It just breaks away from the immersion. But either way, Cooper forced off there. Worrying signs as the captain goes down on the stretcher. And then Preston would take the lead soon after 29 minutes in. We did look a better team in the first start, despite trailing for a while, and would find our leveller. Tony Matthews storming down left-hand side, rolls it across, and there is that man once again, Rabi Matondo, and the dilemma continues. Where is this guy's future? Is it on the wing, or is it through the middle? I still can't decide. I am so ridiculously indecisive, man, and that goes for every aspect of my life, including in where to play players in this CM. But even so, Preston would restore their lead after the restart. This is a really unlucky goal as well. His first touch was so poor. It just seemed to deflect out of his boots and then come straight back into his path. That was a really unfortunate goal to concede. But Preston in front, it's 2-1. They restore the lead, and 65 minutes in, a chance to get back on level terms. Once again, it's Matondo causing problems, but a good stop at the near post keeps it at 2-1. So there we go, a loss at Deepdale by 2-1. 3 straight defeats in all competitions for Newport County, and with Brentford and in-form Nottingham Forest coming up next, 2 more difficult games for us there. And there we go, the injury for Brandon Cooper is a 2-month injury, up to 76 overall this season from 74 overall, I should say. And as you can see, he's got some fantastic defensive stats, the medium-high work rates. He's not slow, he's a great physical centre-half as well, and that's gutting he's now done for a couple of months there. And again, you would have seen the injury there. It wasn't to do with his leg, you know, and again, it breaks the immersion when you see him clutching his leg and it's an injury on a totally different part of his body. But even so, Cooper down for the 2 months, and that's a big blow there as well, because I'm already ridiculously bad at defending. Now I've lost my best defender in my back 5 and my club captain as well. So Ben Davis will take the armband temporarily. He's been waiting for this chance ever since he came in. He dropped down to League One and I didn't make him captain. He felt absolutely let down by the fact that I didn't give him the leadership role officially. But yeah, I'll take captain in the interim for the 2 months there. Ben Davis, we love the guy so much, man. Now the vet will get to wear the armband on a temporary basis. Anyway, yeah, third and final game, Brentford the Bees taking on Thomas Frank's side, and 30 minutes into what was a really snowy Rodney parade here. I'd like to blame the conditions for my poor start. Half an hour in as Vitaly Janelt makes it 2-0 after Mbuemo's long range strike. Because I don't know whether you guys, I don't know if it sort of translates into the video, but like honestly, playing this at like 8 o'clock at night with some tired eyes, the pitch was so white I thought it was going to burn my retinas. I mean, seriously, the floodlights beaming down on the frosty turf was reflecting into a beam of light that made me wonder whether I'd passed out and I was waiting to get introduced to the pearly gates by God. I don't know if that reference makes sense there, probably not. But even so, I was saying that it was bright. It was really, really bright. There's no doubt about that. We were 3-0 down though, and Mbuemo bagged his brace and made it 3. And again, I just couldn't compete in this game. Brentford obviously a much better team than us, no doubt about it. We would hit the crossbar from range, and I was thinking, this is just typical, man. Seriously, Brentford can score 3 long shots. I have to hit the crossbar, and then 15 minutes to go, still down by 3. It would become 4. Good finish there by Dervis Soglu, and that would do it. Brentford 4-0 up at Rodney Parade and a big win. So 4 straight defeats. 2 of these 3 games we've conceded and lost by 4 goals to 0. But again, I will say it's challenging, it's difficult, it's really, really tough. But it's supposed to be because I'm playing on Ultimate. So yeah, it's been a challenge, man. It's been a real challenge. I said at the start of the season, oh, we could possibly sneak into the playoffs. Maybe I need to start being a little bit more realistic as I reject this bid for Lee Price here from Atalanta United. I've got to change his kit number, by the way. I've done it now. He's now number 1. Obviously, it doesn't matter because of the bug this year. He's got no kit number on his shirt. But even so, he has been great. Still 16 years old and now 68 overall. And also the bid for Pew. I was considering this from UDI FIFA. after in the end rejected it. I felt it was best to keep the squad here, as at the moment we're not playing very well. Having said that, as I did reassure Ben Davis that whilst the squad is worried that this isn't a club that's going to meet their demands, we had a bid here for Charlie Catton, which I accepted for £410,000. So once this deal goes through, you'll see the budget in just a moment's time. We've got over 100 grand a week now, as I reject this bid for Lewis Collins here, in the weekly wage budget. And I'm just starting to think, with just under 2 million to go, with a poor run of form, if we're to have any chance whatsoever of pulling off the impossible and sneaking a playoff place, we'll need to bring 1 or 2 players in before the transfer window slams shut. We are currently 14 points off the Baggies in 6th place. So I think if we're going to pull away from the drop zone, if nothing else, secure championship football, I might need to make a big move. But that will end today's episode of Club and Country, guys. Big thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. If you haven't, please drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day. And I'll see you for the next episode of C and C featuring Transfer Deadline Day very soon.